Welcome to the tutorial on business communication. Today the chapter is Essentials of Oral Communication. In our daily activities, a good amount of time we spend in oral communication, and we can improve oral communication, speaking and listening, by practicing. Besides informal talking and listening, we do lots of formal oral communication like committee meetings, conference, group discussion. Sometimes we make phone call, and sometimes we do spoken dictation, as well as we do formal presentation like speeches, lectures and oral reports. In our day-to-day life, we are engaged in oral communication. How to improve talking? To improve our talking, we need to be aware about our nature and qualities of speaking. And after becoming aware about our nature and qualities of speaking, we need to work to overcome our shortcomings. And for that purpose, at the first step, we have to think about the qualities of a good talker. On the other hand, we have to think about the worst conversationalist. And by comparing these two images, we can form a good picture of characteristics of good talking. Elements of good talking. We can see there are 4 elements of making good talking. The first one is voice quality, second one is style, third one is word choice, and the fourth one is adaptation to your audience. Let us see the details of these 4 elements. The first element of good talking is voice quality. Voice quality refers to the pitch and resonance of the sounds of a speaker, and it also includes speed and volume of the voice. Our voice may be unpleasant or melodious. We have to know the effect of a high-pitched voice or a guttural voice or a melodious voice. Then we have to analyze our voice by recording. Then after listening carefully to that recording, we can make a conscious effort to improve what we are hearing. The second elements of good talking is talking style. That means set of voice behaviors. It is the way that pitch, speed and volume combine to give personality to one's oral expression. In the first stage, we have to analyze the voice quality, and in the second stage, we have to analyze the voice style or talking style. To have a good idea about the talking style, we can ask ourselves that is it polished, or is it smooth, or is it rough or dull? After analyzing the voice style, you should be able to determine your style deficiencies so that you can improve. The third element of good talking is the word choice. Word choice means one's vocabulary. As a speaker, we have to choose those words which are familiar to the recipient so that they can understand it very well. The words you choose should be appropriate so that you can maintain the courtesy and respect to the listener's knowledge. As a speaker, you should not talk down to or above the listener. The fourth element of good talking is adaptation, and it means fitting the message to the listener. And for that purpose, we have to combine the effect of words, voice and style of talking. In a business organization, we need to conduct meeting or participate in meeting. That meeting may be formal or informal. The example of formal meeting may be conference, committee meetings, and on the other hand, informal meeting may be the discussion with the groups. As a stakeholder of a company, your role in a meeting will be that of either leader or participant, and the leader's role is the primary one, but good participation is also a vital issue. What are the techniques of conducting meeting? We can conduct a good meeting by following the techniques like plan the meeting, follow the plan, move the discussion along, control those who talk too much, encourage participation from those who talk too little, control time, summarize at appropriate places, take minutes. Let us see the details of these techniques. The first technique to conduct a meeting is planning for the meeting, and for that purpose you have to plan it thoroughly. In that case, you have to develop an agenda. Agenda means the items which need to be discussed. In that case, you have to arrange those items in most logical order, and you have to make it available to those who will attend the meeting. That means in planning of the meeting, you have to prepare an agenda, and that agenda should be distributed to the participant of that meeting. The second techniques of conducting a meeting is follow the plan. In following the plan, we have to follow the agenda item by item, and as a leader, you should keep the discussion on track. But if any person arise any new items, you have to take them up at the end, or perhaps you can postpone them for a future meeting. The third technique of conducting meeting is move the discussion along. That means you have to control the agenda, and for that purpose, wherever one item has been covered, you have to bring up the next item, and when the discussion moves off subject, move it back. In general, do what is needed to proceed, but do not cut off discussion before all the important points have been met. In that case, you have to use your good judgment so that you can reach your goal of meeting by permitting complete discussion. The fourth technique of conducting a meeting is control those who talk too much. Generally, there are some people who tries to dominate the discussion by talking too much. In that case, as a leader, you have to control them, but you have to ensure a democratic environment in that meeting. You can let those talkative people to talk as long as they are contributing to the goals of the meeting. Otherwise, you can control them by stopping. However, when they begin to stray or duplicate or bring in irrelevant matter, you should step in. You can do this tactfully by asking for their viewpoints or by summarizing the discussion or moving on to the next topic. The fifth technique of conducting meeting is encourage participation from those who talk too little. There are some people who feel shy to talk. In that case, you have to encourage those people to participate by asking them for their viewpoints and by showing respect for the comments they make. The sixth technique of conducting a meeting is control the time. In that case, you have to determine the time so that you can finish the meeting at an appropriate time, and you may find it helpful to announce the time goals at the beginning of the meeting and to remind the group members of the time status during the meeting. The seventh technique of conducting meeting is summarize at appropriate places. After a key item has been discussed, you can summarize what the group has covered and concluded. If a decision needs to be taken, then you can take vote from the members. After discussing one point, you can conclude, then move to the next one. At the end, you can summarize the progress made. You also should summarize whenever a review will help the group members understand their accomplishments. The eighth technique of conducting meeting is take minutes or resolution. That means what is said and what is heard, that should be recorded so that those decisions or those discussion can be used for future reference. Our memories are not reliable. In that case, people at meeting may hear or interpret what is said differently after a certain period. To ensure you have an accurate, objective account of the topics covered and decisions made at a meeting, assign the task of recording the meeting events or taking the minutes to someone. Minutes can be written in many ways. You should mention the date, time, location, as well as the person who attended and those person who did not attend but they are supposed to attend. If there is an agenda, the minutes will usually summarize the discussion of each agenda topic. So there are 8 techniques to conduct a meeting as a leader. Sometimes we need to participate in a meeting as a participant. And what are the techniques for participating in a meeting? As a participant in a meeting, you should follow the agenda, you should participate, you shouldn't talk too much, you should cooperate, and you should be courteous. We are already aware that in a meeting there will be an agenda, and as a participant you have to follow the agenda. And in following the agenda as a participant, you have to participate by discussing meaningful issues which will contribute to the business. And you shouldn't talk too much. Whenever you have something to say, but do not get carried away. just contributes the discussion by discussing the important issue. And as a participant, you should cooperate by respecting the leader and his or her efforts to make progress, and you should also respect the other participants. And you have to be courteous, because being courteous is a part of being cooperative. For the purpose of oral communication, we may need to talk using phone. What are the techniques for using phone? We can see the first one is professional voice quality. If we want to make a professional voice quality, we have to make sure that our voice sound is pleasant and friendly. And whenever we are using phone, we have to show courtesy, and to show courtesy, we have to introduce ourselves. Then we have to ask for the person we are seeking, and we can explain the purpose of calling. When calling, immediately introduce yourself and ask for the person you want, or explain your purpose. When receiving a call, identify your company or office, then offer assistance. We have to ensure effective phone procedure. For that purpose, when calling, state your purpose early, then cover your points systematically. Plan important calls. Be considerate, listen, and do not dominate, and try to use the time efficiently. And the fourth technique of using phone is effective voicemail techniques. Sometimes when the person are calling is not available, you will be able to leave a voice message in an electronic mailbox. In that case, you should also be courteous, and you should mention your name and affiliation. Begin with an overview of the message and continue with details. If you want the listener to take action, call for it at the end. And if you want the listener to return your call, state that precisely, including when you can be reached. Slowly give the number where your call can be returned. Close with a brief goodwill message. Up to now, we have discussed various techniques as a speaker, but sometimes we may need to act as a listener. So, what is the nature of listening? Listening involves sensing, filtering, and remembering. So, what is sensing? Sensing has two parts. The first part is you should have the ability to sense the sound, and the other part is you should be attentive in listening. The second one is filtering. In that case, you have to interpret the contents of the message to understand it very efficiently. And when we filter any message or any talking, we use our knowledge, emotions, beliefs, biases, experiences, and expectation. And the third element of listening is remembering. We have to remember what we have listened from the speaker. What are the techniques for improving listening ability? To improve listening, you must be willing to work on it. You must be alert. Force yourself to pay attention. Concentrate on improving your interpreting. Think from the speaker's viewpoint, and consciously try to remember. In addition, you should follow the practical guidelines like stop talking while the speaker is speaking. You should put the talker at ease. You should show the talker you want to listen. Remove distractions. Empathize with the talker. Be patient. Hold your temper whenever you feel angry, and go easy on argument and criticism, and you can ask questions. Then again stop talking. So these are the techniques by which you can be a good listener. In our oral communication, the non-verbal or non-word communication has a significant role. That's why as a speaker or a listener, we have to be aware of the non-verbal or non-word communication, because it's the part of oral communication. I mean, the non-verbal communication is the part of verbal or oral communication. Generally, in face-to-face communication, non-verbal communication accounts for a larger part of the total message, and usually we use non-verbal communication to supplement and reinforce our words. Sometimes non-verbal communication communicates by itself. That's why we should be cautious about our body language, space between the speaker and the listener, and the time frame and the paralanguage. So these are the issues which are considered as the non-verbal communication, and we have to be aware about our non-verbal communication whenever we are doing oral communication. Thank you.